All right. Welcome to another episode of Tea in Space, where all your dreams come true. And do they? It's a nightmare. This is a nightmare, man. So I woke up one day and the entire world was shut down. Incredible. How's that possible? Over a virus? The global elitists are at work once again, trying to maintain their authority and dominance over the entire population of the world. And here we sit, most of us, content in allowing others to control our every move, allow these entities to close down our businesses. For what? And how important was it in the end? Well, we're in the middle of it now, right in the thick of it, and it's really bad. You know what? The virus has been around for a while. It's been bad for a while. So we wash our hands and we do our things and we stay home when we're sick, you know, go out for a walk. We don't, you know, go over to grandma's house when we're sick, right? We don't go to the nursing home when we're sick. We don't need governments to tell us what we can or cannot do because we've been doing this for quite some time. And yeah, there are going to be people that are not as smart about it, but that's the way it goes, you know? So, this control, hey, some more law enforcement. I see more law enforcement up and down the streets of Penticton than I ever have, actually. Well done. Well done. If you want a job, the government's hiring. Data, if you like data. Seems like everything's based on data. Any decision that we make is based on data now. Where's that data coming from? Who's providing this data that we go off of? That we put our full, complete trust in? Who's collecting the data, and then who makes the decisions on how to interpret said data? Less and less does the individual have any authority over their own life in this world. Why? The economy is going to come to an end, most likely, which isn't a bad thing because the way the economy has been run ever since I have been alive has only been to serve those that have, and continually takes from those that don't have. Right? So here we are, once again, talking about pretty much the same old thing. How do you like globalism so far? That's good. I just read your comment, Margaret. Uh, 2030 is the globalization goal, I've heard. You know, we talk about globalization, but possibly globalization is already here, and that's part of the problem. That's the problem, right? Well, globalization is just a word, and now, on one hand, I think it's very important for us globally to come together and make decisions together. But that's not what's happening, right? So, like globalization in itself, the word could mean something that's actually good for us, but in this context, it's absolutely not because the elitists are definitely running things. They're running the banks, they're running the businesses, they bought the governments, and it's global. It's global, and there's only a few people that actually control it, which makes one think, how hard would it be really to regain, or not regain? I don't think anybody's really had, not many people have had control over their own lives, let alone the decisions made across the globe. But how easy would it be? You see, the only thing that you need to do is not recognize these people as your leaders, to not recognize, um, let's say, your country as uh, the final say, because it is obvious that countries, um, governments of all kinds, from the federal to the provincial to the municipal, are severely flawed and crooked. So I don't know. That's where I'm at right now. I feel like a broken record a bit, but at the same time, I listen to and only not to gain information, just to figure out what it is people are buying. I watch the mainstream media, CNN and Fox, and all those other great media outlets that put objective news first. um, so the last thing that I watched was mayor of no, not the mayor, the governor of New York, essentially saying that they have the most amount of cases and it's the hot spot and they need the funding more than anybody. And it's a basically, you have governors and presidents and federal governments and state governments in the US working together to assume this dominance over mankind again. uh how do I put it? How do I use the limited words that I have to explain in precisely what is going on? This is the problem. I think the only way I can do it is live, because every time I try to tape something, I feel like I'm overthinking it. It's very simple. The problem is very complicated, but the answer is very simple. Um, but you'll have people like the governor of New York overcomplicating matters or showing you another pie graph or bar chart or a curve that he wants to flatten, and repeating over and over um, what his agenda is. If you're listening, if you're really listening, you can see what the agenda is. It's money, it's greed, and they don't care how they get it. They don't care how they get this money. Manipulation is a tactic that they use, um, neuro-linguistic programming, saying same things over and over again, um, possibly using different words, but take um, this flat in the curve thing analogy that they're always using. So they'll pull up a chart in the back, and then they'll explain it over and over again how they have the best data and the best sources. So trust them. Don't trust yourself. Don't trust what's outside. Don't trust your own eyes. Why would you want to do that? Because you'd be right. Look around you. All you have to do is look around you, because the microcosm is the macrocosm. Is that right? I don't know. So 2030, eh? Globalization goal. I'm thinking maybe we're there already, but now we got to get out of it. Get out of whatever this is, where a few people are making the decisions for us. I think it's incredible that we have focused so highly on the coronavirus, and have been made to succumb to this to the pressures of doing what we're told to do, based on the fact if you really cared, you would do exactly what you were told. Stay at home. Okay. If I was sick, or if I knew someone who was sick, I would stay at home. I've done this my whole life, and a number of us have. So where am I going with this? And does it matter? Probably not. I think it only matters that we continue to challenge these people. The media is super strong right now. The media is a juggernaut. If you want to convince an entire population of anything, the media is where to do it, right? Mainstream media. And look at what they focused on. It's not news anymore. It's pandemic news. Pandemic, really? It's a pandemic. Again, I look around me, my town. I'm online all the time with friends, family, all the time. And I'm thinking, wow, just as many people died during the 4 months that this has been stupidly focused on. Less people have died in my life than at any other time. Is that true? I don't know. But it seems like there's no change, because people die all the time. People get old and they die. So, you know what? If a old person gets sick and they have complications, most likely they're going to die from those complications. And anything to set off or flare up whatever complications they have, they're going to be most vulnerable to any virus. So here's a question for you. What happens next time a virus comes our way? Which it will. What are we going to do then? We're going to close everything down again? Are we going to listen to these people who say, well, you know what? That needs to be closed down because that's not an essential service. Who told you? what an essential service is, and why how are you making these decisions? A blanket decision for a whole country or a whole world or like a whole state or whatever it is, province? Seriously. Um, so another question we have to ask ourselves is why are we so fucking gullible? You know? Why have we bought into it? Because we trust. We want to trust, right? We want to trust the people that we put in these positions, or we think we put in these positions, but really they bought those positions. So the people that are in these positions, we'd like to think that they're operating on our best behalf, but is that really the case? No, of course not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. The words that come out of their mouth do not match up to what actually happens. So, if you have a government, which most of us do, right? Live in countries around the world, most governments are simply not to be trusted. Just think about how these people get elected, and also think about the choices that you have when voting, and think about how effective it is for you individually to vote when you only have two choices normally. This is a problem, and it's always been a problem, and we haven't fixed it yet. Why haven't we fixed it? This is a problem that can be fixed easily. The solution is very simple. Are we willing to do it? Well, what is it that what are you suggesting, friend? I'm suggesting that we, the people, you know, we the people take control. Well, how is that possible, friend? I'll tell you. We got this little thing. It's called the internet. Some people call it the interweb. Other people refer to it as the ether. Um, we're very connected. So, what's going to happen if we allow these people to continually make these carte blanche decisions that completely uh, destroy any kind of ambition or uh, that's not the right word, but destroy any kind of forward momentum when it comes to operating a business or whatever. What happens next time? Well, they'll be able to shut the internet down. Yeah, watch, because that's a plan that's in place. I believe that. I believe that they're probably going to try to shut the internet down for a few days. Yeah, maybe, possibly. And then round up all the bad guys. So you got bad guys rounding up bad guys, essentially. Yeah, we're going to round them up. All right. So maybe we shouldn't think of this as bad guy, good guy. Maybe we shouldn't think of it that way. Maybe we should think of it bad decision, good decision. Um, decision that works for everybody or decision that only works for a few. Well, does that work? Doesn't work for me. Tell you that. Hasn't worked for me for like 49 years. Yeah, ever since I was a baby, it didn't work for me then. 49 years I've been on this planet. And 49 years it's been shit. Greedy. That's true. And we bought it. We bought that. That's the way things should go. We've also bought the idea that we can fix everything. Take this vaccine that's coming our way. Oh, until we get a vaccine, we can't fix this problem. Oh, really? Really? So your body does not have the function to fight off virus now. Now you have to manufacture the cure because you know better than your own body. Oh. If you look for coronavirus, you're going to find it. If you test for it, which they're pushing, test. They're going to test if you had it. They're going to test if you didn't have it. They're going to see if you have antibodies. They're going to collect your antibodies. Well, they wouldn't be able to do that without your consent now, would they? Well, hold on. They're swabbing you. They're pricking you. They're collecting blood samples. What's that all about? They're doing that without your consent. It's going to come to a point, if we continue down this road, that no one will be able to go to work without being tested. So either you're going to be fit for whatever work is out there, and that's a whole other subject that I talk about. Work, the jobs that they choose for you. We're allowing other people to choose the jobs for us. Now, how much sense does that make? Hey, when you came to this planet, when you were a baby, when you came to this planet, what did you sign up for? Did you sign up for a lifetime of working? You know, you have your governments, they say everybody wants to get back to work. Everybody wants to get back to how it was, the good old days. Well, how good were those old days? And how good are the days today? Well, we have less control, and we're maintaining that trajectory by allowing people to take that control from us. So who's to blame? Well, we're all to blame. We're all to blame for letting it get down to this, right? How much more can we really do? Okay, well, here's one thing. In your own life, because you can only really change yourself when it comes down to it. If you change yourself, you change the entire trajectory of the world, of the universe. One thought has an effect on the entire universe. So, in a lot of ways, and this is not how it was intended, believe me, but in a lot of ways, this shutdown of the economy is probably a really good thing for us. A byproduct of it is that maybe some of us, not all of us, because not all of us have had the opportunity to not work, but some of us have found out that there are more important things in life than to work, to make money. There are more important things like spending time, by yourself. Spending time in silence, getting to know your body, getting to know your mind, and the uh, and all the tools that you have built in. It's a good opportunity to take time to understand these things. The only way you can understand it is not by being told. It's by being. So I think we've probably forgotten. I think we've forgotten how to be, and if we want to heal, if we want to have less stress in our life, if we want to have healthier bodies, if we want to live longer, if like who wants to live longer in a society that's dominated by greed and pride? But if it changes and we want to live longer, this could be paradise, could it not? It's either paradise or it's hell. But isn't that the way it is, regardless of us living on this planet? Like when we die, which we all will die, it's not a bad thing. What happens? Does it all stop? Absolutely not. Right? Well, no, you can't prove that. Well, no, I can't prove it to you. Why would I want to? When the information and the answers are inside yourself. So, hey, if you don't want to know yourself, then no one can really help you. See, the thing is that there are people, and they're just humans, just like you and me. They have the same gifts, they have the same spirit, they have whatever you want to talk about, whatever that is that's um, God, spirit. We all have it, but a great number of us in varying degrees push it aside. They um, they put out the flame, you know? They try to anyways. The flame's always there. Now, why do you do that? Well, it's a sickness. There's a sickness of the mind that has permeated the collective consciousness of the entire world, really. And it's real. It's absolutely real. You see it in the small ways. You can see it in your own life. And if you can look at your own personal life as a microcosm of what's actually going on in the entire world and universe, apparently, this is all going on at the same time. So, how do we fix it? Well, again, you look at yourself. Spend time with yourself in silence. Be still and know. Be still and know that I am God. Who's God? Well, it might be you. You see, God is everywhere. And there aren't people that have a direct line to God, special people out there that have just a direct line to God because they're special. We all have it. I was talking a couple of days ago about um, you know, what the greatest um the greatest trick that the devil ever played on humankind is to convince everybody that he didn't exist, right? Well, first of all, let's define who the devil is, and second of all, let's figure out if that's actually true, if that's the best trick, because there's a lot of tricks being played in the mind where the devil resides. Who is the devil? Well, it's you. See, you have everything inside of you. But there is definitely a sickness, and there's a glue that holds us together, and that glue, or that thing that binds everything together, is something other than, the other stuff, you know, the thoughts and the ideas that we have, combined with how things actually move and grow, and there's something else. There's always three, but we usually tend to forget that third one, that third thing that binds us all together. I hear a lot on the mainstream media that we're all in this together. They'll throw these lines out, and it's true, and we're all. But are we all connected? No, we're all in this together. That's what I hear the mainstream media saying. We're all in this together, so we gotta do this together as one. Any good idea, any idea, any idea, bad or good, when you have more than one person working on it, that idea is going to succeed. Whether it's a shitty idea or it's a good idea. It's just today I listened to about 20 minutes of Cuomo speaking, giving us his pandemic um, speech update. I'm personally pretty tired of this, because it is an endless circular kind of argument, kind of game, word game, where words don't mean the same. You have basically, like I was saying with mainstream media. I don't think I even finished the point, but they're saying that we're all in this together. We're all in this together, right? And then it's that social pressure to abide by the rules, because we are all doing this as one entity, right? Well, yeah, that it's a really bad idea, and if you continue doing this, it's going to go down a road, and we're going to have a world where we won't want to live in. It's too restrictive. What's the need? Who benefits? Well, the people who benefit essentially are the people that own the banks. They run the banks. they Because they've asserted their dominance over us for such a long time, and we've bought it. We've given them so much control. So, on a personal note, I don't have a bank account, so I don't have any means at all. I don't have any money coming in. Anything that I live on is either I've sold everything except for the stuff that I have here. Um, it's getting to the point where people are starting to say we don't accept cash. Well, if that happens, then um, I guess I'll be moving out into the bush, right? Because government has shut down my bank account. The government's been taking taxes, and it's said that I've owed. Say they say this to everybody: keep giving, but where does it go? We are so highly taxed. The world is so highly taxed. I'm not the only one. I'm not complaining about this. It's just a fact. There's no incentive at all to continue being a part of any kind of financial transaction that involves the US dollar. You know, we need to get to a point where we're trading again. Just straight up trade. It's fair. So, federal governments, in particular, the government that we find ourselves here in Canada with, have not and do not serve us. They've given out loans to certain businesses, and in the United States, they've given out loans to businesses and they've run out of fucking money. Keep a population always doing this. Please give me more. Keep them doing that, and you got control over them, right? Slaves. Modern day ignorant slaves. And I say ignorant because most people don't know that they're in slavery. Most people think they're free, which is weird. If you were truly free, you would have more joy in your life. For sure. Joy. Not to be mistaken for happiness. Because there's a lot of happiness being displayed on the television. You look at all the programs that are being provided for us, for our entertainment. You look at them now. You look at them now as opposed. Things have gotten worse on the television. What's the easiest to produce with the most amount of people that will want to watch because they love seeing train wrecks, car crashes, families fighting. Reality TV. If you fuck the other guy over better, then you win. Good for you. We're all very happy for you. Look at how much fun we're having while we're doing it. This is insanity. This is sickness. This is mental sickness. And it's on a wide scale in varying degrees. Can it be fixed? Yes. Does it take time? Doesn't have to. All that has to happen is that at one time, now maybe not, I don't know, but this would be great if it happened. At one time, we all changed. And we just said, you know what? We're not doing the greed thing anymore. Compassion is going to be our highest mandate. When we make that that complete turnaround, that switch, or we just go that other way. Don't judge our past. Don't judge anything that's, you know what? Let's start from scratch every day. If you don't start from scratch every day, you're going to be bitter, you're going to hold resentment, and we're going to have more of the same. So, compassion, love. Love your neighbor. Love your enemy. Love everybody. There are people that won't want to change. They'll want to continue down the road of greed because it's worked for them in the past. But I don't think it's going to work in the future. That's my prediction. Because it doesn't work. That's the reason why. Because in the end, every time, let's say you've made your fortune based on taking advantage of other people, right? Taken from the poor, essentially, overcharging, profiting, heavy profits, right? If you've made your money this way, if it's come quick, and you find yourself in a situation where you're hoarding, and you have so much more than everybody else around you, you might be going down that path that always ends with you losing it in the end, or losing something like your family, because your stuff is more important than your family or your friends, because bitterness and resentment do build up. Now, we got an eclectic assortment of people, even in my own community here, and we've all done it, haven't we? Sat around and judged each other, and I'll do business with that person, but not with that person. Fair enough. But let's really look at it this time. Who's served you well, and who's only taken advantage of you? We need to make better decisions. All of us. We need to make better decisions when it comes to work. Are we going to worry and then have a knee-jerk reaction and say, okay, well, I just got to take this job because I need to work and I need money and I got it? Or is there another way that we can do it? Because some of these jobs are not worth your fucking while. You take a company like Walmart, which is heavily attached to the government, and they've become essential services while everything else is shut down. And the capacity that Walmart has to not only sell you groceries, but the spaces that they have, the buildings that they have, can be transformed into other things. FEMA camps. Be careful of this FEMA and supporting FEMA. Again, just because your government said, hey, FEMA has control. Now, does it really? Because we have not given you that control. So we, all of us, we refuse to acknowledge your power. We'll take the power back. We'll have the power for ourselves, like all of us, which means none of us have the power. That's what that means. None of us, not one person has the fucking power. Right? Not one, not two, not just like a little group of people having power over us. We, by all of us having power, we none have power. Am I right? I think I'm right. So how do I like globalism so far? So far, it has not been the best. I'll have to be honest with you, Margaret. It hasn't been the best. Hasn't affected me too much in that for the last, I don't even know how long now, is I haven't had a job. So, but negatively, it will actually start affecting me considerably, especially if cash is not being accepted. I live on very little money, very little, like below poverty, way below. In fact, the last man, how much? What was the last year? Since the summer, last summer, I have not made any money. Things have worked out okay though, not so bad. So that's the thing. You just gotta trust. You trust that things will work out, and they actually do work out. So maybe that's more of what I should be pushing, because for the last 2.5 years, I've done this project on Facebook, and I've tried to put my life on Facebook and try to be as honest as I possibly can. I've clocked, I don't know how many hours live video, some of which, I wouldn't want to listen to. But here's the deal. For those 2.5 years, I have learned a lot of things. And I met a lot of people online, actually, Margaret. And I figure we're a lot stronger as a cohesive unit of a logical, realistic, like fundamentally sound thinkers. Logical. With the with that little thing called compassion mixed in as well. Equal amounts of logic with an equal amount of compassion, and a dash of acceptance. That's what it takes. And we shouldn't worry, because there again, look around you. The earth feeds itself. You really think there's no food around if we don't have grocery stores? And there's food out there. There's food right across the street. Now, do we want to start from scratch? Most likely not. I don't want to start from scratch. I like my Cheese Whiz too much. It's horrible stuff, but I like it. Okay, I tell you what. I'll give up Cheese Whiz if we could create a local economy based on local fruits, vegetables, local meats, whatever it is, just local dairy. And then we can come up with something better to replace the Cheese Whiz that Kraft makes us. because I can do without those companies. I really can. I can. And maybe we should. Maybe there are certain things that we should just do without. Take a look in your pantry, in your fridge. See how many things are wrapped in plastic. How good do you think that is for you? You don't think the plastic is seeping into your food just by touching it? In general, and in conclusion, I'd like to say what? It's vital that we focus on the right things. It's vital that we focus on the important issues. And it's very important that we're not swayed by politicians and news anchors and political spin. It's very, very important for us to be aware that all of these things are happening and that we are susceptible to it. What goes in comes out. What you watch, you start believing. Well, do you want to believe the truth or do you want to believe a lie? That's what it comes down to. Look, if you're satisfied not or if you're satisfied living in ignorance, you've most likely shut me off by now. Right? Most likely. Because either you think that I am know-it-all, arrogant, I'm also full of pride myself. There's a lot of things that you could probably point out in me, but be careful. Be careful when it comes to judging other people. But at the same time, just realize anytime we judge, and this is right across the board with everybody. Every time we judge somebody, there's always fingers pointing back at ourselves. This thing that we have right now, it's our problem and it can be fixed. It can be. And we have influence over it as individuals because we are it. Who else but us can make the shift? Who else but us? You're waiting for something divine to happen? Well, we've been waiting for something divine to happen forever, haven't we? You waiting for the second coming of Jesus? Well, hold on here. Jesus came already and he gave you all the information that you needed and said that you're a son of God. So go out and do. Be. But without getting too religious, how can you not? How can you not think about why it is we're here? Who it is we are? How can you live that way? That doesn't make sense. So, in my estimation, and I could be wrong, and please do not trust a word that I'm saying. In my opinion, Most people are ignorant, in my opinion, and they remain in ignorance because they think it's easier. And they think themselves so incredibly smart and clever that that they need to be in control of everything, and just that's just not how the universe works. There's an unlimited number of possibilities, um, but there's a certain way of being that works best. So that's what we got to find individually, on your own, in stillness and in silence. All right. Well, have a great day. It's Friday, 10:29 a.m., April 17th, 2020. Coming to you live on YouTube and Facebook. And as soon as I get my phone repaired, I'll come back on Instagram. But until then, I'm not going to fret it too much. And I'll try to do this every day, like I've been doing. Sometimes I do it more than once. But at the same time, I don't want to be a part of the sound noise that's going on. The noise just for the sake of noise. This is important. Not because I say it's important. Just because it is. We've lost control of ourselves. It's a little crazy because we've given ourselves control over ourselves. Basically, that's what's happened. Wait a minute. Yeah, think about it. We've given ourselves control over ourselves. So now we think ourselves to be it. The one small self is it. Not knowing how connected we are to the bigger self. Could be an education thing. Could be that people just need a nudge in that direction to look at inside themselves. Kind of banking on it. So it's the only thing I got, really. I don't have power. I don't have money. I don't have an audience, really. And used to have a bigger audience. I got nothing now. An audience doesn't. The audience I have now is as big as I need, because you don't want an audience that's not listening. Hey, look, if you're a comedian, let's say, and you went to a town and they just don't have a sense of humor, because there are towns out there that don't. Why would you want to? Why would you want to go back there? Because no one's listening to you anyway, so you're gonna kind of just spinning your wheels. So find the people that listen to you. Find the connections that you have together. See where you can line up. See where you can challenge each other in varying ways, because we don't all know everything. It's impossible. It's impossible to know the dirty facts on everything. So, the more we talk, the more we communicate back and forth, the more we sharpen each other and say, you know what? I think you might be a little off in this area. Maybe you want to revisit it. Here's something I'd like you to look at, possibly. but these are my words to it. That's very important. Put your own words to it always. It's too easy to point out someone else's words. But let's have the conversation and let's sharpen each other. I put myself out on multimedia platforms of various kinds for the last 2.5 years. Before that, not much. And there's a lot to criticize if you if you ever. But I would think that if you're here now and you continue to listen, you wouldn't. It's just it is. Life is, and we're all figuring it out as we go. But it's a lot easier if we're all doing it together, or at least we know that we have each other's backs. That's important. That's very important. We don't have to agree with each other all the time, that's for sure. But it is very important that we love each other. And unconditional love, it's basically where we want to get at. So if you don't know what unconditional love means, look it up, evaluate yourself, and see if you're there. Because we all need to get there for anything to really change. Because then you would know yourself. It also includes loving yourself. Love yourself as you would love your neighbor. Love yourself. Love your neighbor as you would love your enemy. Doesn't mean you have to like him. Right? Doesn't mean you have to like what he does or she does. You gotta love them. How do you get there? Well, we can start with just being still and silent. Spending more time listening other than spewing off what we know or what we think we know. Watching. Being aware of what's going around you. How the small affects the big. How the small is the big, how the big is the small, and fixing the small to heal the big. All right, so that's it. Again, it's April 17th, 2020. It's Friday. Really? It's Friday? Want to get together? Oh no, we can't. That sucks. Who told us we can't? Let's not get into that again. Food for thought. Have a good day. Bye.